Grace and peace. Job continues to respond, and I hope that you would be diligent with this. We're going to be working with Job all year. This is a lifelong lesson or lessons about life that is not resolved in one chapter or by one friend or by the 3 long speeches of Job. It is a continuum as Job is living his life, and he's living it not as he's expected it. Is that a good way to say that? When you read chapter 1 and you first start off with Job, I need to say it like that. Job hadn't thought, this was in his farthest imagination, that where he started as Job, the perfect upright man, blameless, he never at that moment then anticipated where he would be today. I'm back to some words that I've been wrestling with for a while. Was I, the things that we are within, the things that we are beneath along life's journey. When you're within it, or when you're beneath it, sometimes a load can be so excruciating that you don't anticipate getting out of it. Are you listening? Job finds himself in a situation that he never dreamt of, but the nostalgia of what was is what's driving the anxiety that he has now. Did you catch me? The good old days are not so good today. And he's struggling because he never anticipated that nice, good, honest Job would have bad days and bad times and tragedy in his life. So when you read Job, chapters 1 through 42, it's a progression all along. You see mood swings. And I want to press you on this one. See, if you can intuit that Job seems angry. In reading and studying this, it seemed as I read this and listened to him, his voice, Job was angry. I don't want to go so far as to say bitter, but Job was angry, and I'm not so sure that his present state that has lasted longer than he ever anticipated hasn't moved him to be today, in the text, you listening? That today the Job that we meet, I'm not so sure is not an angry, bitter, and sick man. All right? That sort of sets it up for our discussion. Chapter 13, verse 5 through verse 28, there's basically 3 or 4 sections of this, and we'll pick up in the first one, verses 6 through 12, just for a little outline. It's almost an interrogating by Job of his friends. That'll be verses 6 through 12. Verses 13 through 16, there is a public declaration of intent, a resolve. Then verses 17 through 23, there is a request for an arraignment with God. He wanted to talk to God. And then the last verses 24 through 28 give a complaint against his adversary. And it's interesting who Job's adversary from Job's perspective is. That's where we are in the time. So let's pick up in Job chapter 13, Verse 6, now he's responding not only to Zophar, but also to Eliphaz and Bildad, his friends. Are you with me? So, and I'm reading from the New Revised Standard as we look at this. And again, see if you detect Job's mood of being angry, if not somewhat bitter with what is, the I, where he is today. He's talking to his friends. If you would only keep silent, that would be your wisdom. Okay. Running off at the mouth. You've been talking. If you just be quiet for a while, and maybe the best thing you could say is just don't say anything. Hear now my reasoning, and listen to the pleadings of my lips. You've been talking. Now I want you to listen. I want you to hear me. I want you to listen to me for a little while. Before Job turns and pleads his case to God, he has a few choice words for his friends. He's talking to his friends. Be quiet. Listen, let me talk. Will you speak falsely for God? And speak deceitfully for God? His friends have been saying, Job, if you would fess up to God and just surrender it and open up and confess, God would answer you. Now he's coming back saying, wait a minute. Are you talking for God? Would you speak dishonestly for God? Notice verse number 8. Will you show partiality towards God? Will you plead the case for God? Notice where the impetus and the emphasis is. It's about God. That the friends seem to be representing God. You listening to the text? It's right there. Okay. Will you show partiality towards God? Will you plead the case for God? Pause there. They have to think about that. Well, then he hits them again. Will it be well with you when he searches you out? Or can you deceive him as one person deceives another? You see, he's twisted this. He's thrown the ball right back at them. Now, what are you going to do when God comes to you with your stuff? It's not about, yes, it is about you. That's what he's saying. You can't isolate me and put me over here as if I'm over here with my stuff and you're over here with your clean hands and your stuff. And he asked them, will it be well with you when God searches you out? Because they're saying, Job, you need to look at what is going on in your life. Just search your stuff and confess it. And now he comes back to them and say, now, will it be well for you when the closet is open and the skeletons are revealed in your life? Or can you deceive God as one person deceives another? Now, this isn't spoken with one of those nice, friendly, hors d'oeuvre conversations. That's why when you read this carefully and not just run through it, text push, and some folk, and sometimes we don't like it, pushes us to think. Job causes human beings then and now to think about what we say, about what was said, and about ourselves. Verse 10, he's talking about God. He will surely rebuke you if in secret if you show partiality. Who will? God will rebuke who? The friends. If in secret you show partiality. Will not his majesty terrify you? Better way of saying that, they tell us when you look at that, will not his fear overwhelm you? Where it says terrify you in the New Revised Standard, they tell us a more accurate translation from the Hebrew would be, will not his fear overwhelm you? Fear of who? God. Notice a couple of references. How you doing? You doing all right? Notice Psalm 35. About this word, overwhelmed, terrified, fear. Psalm 35, verses 7 and 8. For without cause they hid their nets from me. Without cause they dug a pit for my life. Verse 8, let ruin come on them unaware, and let the net that they had ensnare them. Let them fall in it to their ruin. Job is likening his friends to this passage. The snare, the net, their honesty, their candor. They're arguing for God. His Job's perception that they were wrong, and that they're creating a case for God against him, currying God's favor. And he comes back to, but listen, you better be very careful how you do what you do and say what you say to others, lest it comes back to you. Proverbs chapter 3. Just a couple of references. Proverbs chapter 3. Psalms, Proverbs 3. You may want to take note to verses 19 through 26. Marvelous passage. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the deep breaks open and the clouds drop down the dew. My child, do not let these escape from your sight. Keep sound wisdom and prudence, and they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk in your way surely, securely, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Underscore verse 25. Do not be afraid of sudden panic or of the storm that strikes the wicked. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not be afraid, terrified. Do not be afraid, fear. Will not fear overwhelm you. Do not let fear overwhelm you with sudden panic or the storm that strikes the wicked. But Job would argue the storm not only strikes the wicked, but also the innocent. And that's his dilemma. The friends have resolved that there had to have been some wickedness for Job to have the storm. Job is arguing that he's not aware of any wickedness that has caused the storm. And he's a bit miffed. And as a dear friend of mine used to say from South Africa, she had a bee in her bonnet. That there was something that was awry. And Job was saying, it's me today, but don't get so far above or better than me that you feel that you are exempt. Are you with me? Come back to Job chapter 13. Remember he had said in 13:13, let me have silence and I will speak. And let come on me what may. He's taking a risk. I will take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hands. He's saying, and I'm willing to risk my life in order to say what I need to say. See, he will kill me, and I have no hope, but I will defend my ways to his face. That God, though he, and then that 15th verse, that the King James has those immortal words that we always say, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Though he slay me. That's saying a lot, y'all. And people can just throw those words out and say hallelujah all they want, but it's something else to be bleeding. Though he slay me, Job says, I'm arguing for my integrity, yet I'll trust him. The call is to trust God during the down times. When we're overwhelmed by what is going on and there's that reaching back for what was to make everything comfortable now, when you reach back but you can't reach it and it's not there, Job is saying, I'm going to trust God to the point. I think I can say that though he slay me, I'm going to trust God. Don't like what I'm going through. Hurts, painful, sickness, aloneness, bruised, disappointed, totally upset and vexed with my friends, with what they're saying about me. Aloneness, I've got it all. But I'm going to trust God. And so often during these times, and they're going for a longer period than we like, oftentimes there's a tendency to begin to wane in our faith and in our trust and go to alternatives. But regardless to where you go, you always take you. Are you listening? You always take you. You may want to notice, and just for your reference, and you can check it later, Psalm 73, verses 25 and 26. That's an excellent reference there. This will be my salvation. Salvation in the sense of deliverance. Not with the New Testament understanding of going to heaven, but deliverance from the situation that one may find themselves. This will be my salvation, that the godless shall not come before him, before God. Listen carefully to my words. And let my declaration be in your ears. He's talking to God and his friends. I've indeed prepared my case. I know that I shall be vindicated. I'm going through it, but I know. Vindicated means delivered, freed from. Verse 19, who is there that will contend with me? For then I would be silent and die. Well, y'all listen, I'm listening to y'all. Y'all are around. But y'all can't deliver me from what I'm going through. I hear your words. I'm not sure I appreciate your words. But you can't take me out of what I'm going through. This is a God issue. You still with it? Notice carefully verse 20. Job is now speaking almost as if the friends are not there, looking up or just looking somewhere. And he's talking directly to God. This is not a prayer, but this is a conversation. And sometimes, are you listening? We just need to have a conversation with God. Like you'd have a conversation with someone that's there, an invisible friend, as some children have. An invisible friend who's there, very vivid in your own imagination, in your own mind. You can see them, you can talk to them. They don't generally answer back. But oftentimes children, you say they're talking to themselves, and they say, no, I'm talking to my imaginary friend. A dear friend who is resting, Dr. Reverend Jason Barr, dear friend of this church and of mine personally. He was a grown man. And sometimes we'd be riding together and going somewhere, and he'd be talking and wasn't talking to me. And he would just be talking to somebody and going on. I said, you a grown man, what are you doing talking to yourself? He said, I'm not talking to myself. And if I am, I'm talking to myself because there's nobody around me intelligent enough to understand what I'm saying. That wasn't exactly a compliment for me. And I'd want to punch him sometimes, and we'd both laugh. But he was going, I mean, he's just talking. I mean, the hands and everything. Job now is talking. My argument is, sometimes just talk with God. Not that you want an answer, but just talk to God. Now, what does that song say? Now, let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry. He will answer by and by. But the issue, let us have. When is the last time that you just talked to God and didn't ask for something? I want to encourage you. You find a time and a place and ease off and just talk to God. You'd be surprised. You'll be amazed as to what will happen. And I'm going to argue, cultivate that. It's okay. Cultivate that. You'd be surprised as to the outcome. Job now talks directly to God. Listen to what he says. Only grant me two things. He's talking to God. Only grant me two things. And I'm going to read them, then I'll put them in a vernacular that I think is more understandable. Only grant two things to me. He's talking to God. One, to me, and then I will not hide myself from your face. Grant me two things, and then I can look and talk and feel good. One, verse 21, withdraw your hand far from me. Two, and do not let the dread of you terrify me. One, lighten up. Hand of God is oftentimes seen as a hand of wrath, a hand of judgment. It was a hand that would, spank you, grab you, chastise you, hold you, shake you. He's saying, lighten up. God, lighten up. Have you ever said that to God? Is that the only thing you have when you have a conversation? Hey, Lord, lighten up. Huh? He's saying, Lord, lighten up. Give me a little break. And two, stop terrifying me with what may happen. And that's pretty close. Because oftentimes when we are not in the best positions, these minds of ours will take us to the worst scenario, the worst possibilities, the worst ifs. He said, Lord, let me have a break. My head. I'm tired of thinking about the worst things that can happen and the bad, the tragedy, the what ifs, the if onlys. He's talking to God. Conversation. He's moved from the friends. He's talking to God. And Lord, I can really talk to you if I wasn't so afraid. If I wasn't so intimidated. I want to talk to you, Lord. I want to have that conversation. Verse 22. And then he says to God, when you do that, then call and I'll answer. You talk to me, Lord, give me a little break, and then you say, you call me, I will answer. Or let me speak, and you reply to me. Either way, say something, Lord, and I'll talk back to you. Not prayer, conversation. Let me reply. Question to God, conversation. How many are my iniquities and sins? Lord, you know. Make me know my transgression and my sin. Lord, I'm talking to you. I want you to talk back to me. Because I don't know. I don't know the times that I've transgressed against your will. I didn't inadvertently. Sins of omission. Lord, reveal to me the number of times that I may have hurt someone and I didn't mean it. I hadn't thought about it. I didn't mean anything when I said what I said the way I said it. And if I've wronged or misrepresented, Lord, just show me, please. Talk to God. Lord, why do you hide your face from me? Why? Lord, I just need a glimpse. I don't have to, have a still photo, but just a glimpse. Why do you hide your face from me and count me as your enemy? Bad feeling when you feel like an enemy of God. Will you frighten a windblown leaf? Windblown leaf. Job is comparing himself to a windblown leaf. Do you pursue dry chaff? That's dry and the wind just blows it any kind of way. No substance, no. will you write bitter things against me? He's talking to God. And make me reap the iniquities of my youth? Oh, you that kind of God? You put my feet in stocks and watch all my paths. And you set a bound to the sole of my feet. One wastes away like a rotten thing, like a garment that is moth-eaten. Put this on for size and see if you may want him. Job accuses God of harassment. Huh? Look at it. Intimidation and harassment. And he wants to talk to God and wants God to talk to him. This is just a phase. This is not all of his life now. This is where he is now. And healing is being honest about where you are now, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Did you hear me? Healing comes now when I recognize with honesty and integrity where I am. So you have a conversation. Don't wait until Sunday morning. Don't wait until you stream a religious service. It's okay to ask your mama and your daddy to pray for you and your preacher or bishop or your rabbi, whomever. But at some point, like Job, somewhere, have a conversation with God. Let us pray. We thank you for the lessons to be learned from Job. For all that he went through. Help us to learn from him and his experience. Thank you for helping us to hear him say he will trust you, that he wanted to talk to you. And help us, oh Lord, not to be so intimidated or feel so unworthy or sinful or wicked or so on the outside that we don't talk to you. And help us, oh Lord, to know that you're okay with us being honest and saying it as we need to say it when we talk to you. For we ask this prayer of faith in Jesus' name. Amen. Take care. Have a good day. Spend some time. And I hope that next time, by the time we have Bible study again, you will have had at least a conversation with God. Peace be with you.